Sports here on DMV Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tonight we're going to be taking our usual broad look around the DMV landscape. We of course have to start with history in the making, the record that we have tracked the whole season, the whole NHL season is now tied. Look at what's coming up next in the Grade 8's chase for the Grade 1. We're also going to review how the week went for the Caps, as we traditionally do. We're also going to look at the weeks that were for our other professional teams. The Orioles, the Nationals, even more, and the Wizards still keep managing to win one game every now and then. But we're going to look at the weeks that were for them and what they have coming up next on the schedule. We're also going to very briefly touch on a little bit of NFL and introduce our draft segment. That's right, the recurring theme from last year's show is going to return. We are going to be looking at some potential NBA draft prospects and how they did in the postseason to help or hurt their chances. Obviously, we have one big one that we're going to be looking at, but there are a couple other pieces in play as well. We're going to look at all of those guys. And, of course, we have a new month, so we are going to be starting our new month with a delicious wine appropriate to our theme. What does that mean? Well, you'll have to stick around. Let's write about DMV Sports here on IE Sports Radio. Your direct feed for all that is sports.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back to Let's Whine About DMV Sports here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Once again, shout out to our sponsors, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, jerky that's on a whole nother planet. Go to planetjerky.net to get yours today. Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but donates and promotes a very worthy cause in mental health research. Use code IESR to get 15% off of your purchase today, and not only get yourself some gear, but continue to support them as they continue on their goal to helping your mental health. Also, Seal the Deal Wax Seals, custom seals, perfect for any occasion, special occasion, wedding, birthday, big party, baby shower, all that jazz. Go to Instagram at sealthedeal_wax seals to check them out today. And also our newest sponsor, Raw Nutrition Supplements. GetRawNutrition.com. They've got a wide variety of options for whatever your health needs may be. It's not just the simple stuff. They get really in depth with it. They've got tons of options. Use code IESR to get 10% off there as well. Once again, that's GetRawNutrition.com. And if you have not done so already, please follow yours truly on X at Let'sWhine_ISR. And if you are a fan of the show or any of the shows here on the network, please become a part of the Supporters Club. Just $5 a month unlocks a whole bunch of perks for you. So do be sure to check that out today as well. We have a lot of sports to get to, but of course, we must start with our beverage. Now, we are in a new month, which means there's a new theme. Last month, we were in the DMV. As I will remind you all, we're doing a rotating section of America. We're going to different sports regions across the country and sampling some of the best beverages those areas have to offer. And for this month, we are going to be in the Midwest. That's right, folks. We are going to the Midwest, the frozen tundra, however you want to describe the center of the the country. And what do I mean by the Midwest? Because that can be a very broad region. Well, I'm going to focus mostly on kind of the area right around the Great Lakes. So, Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, and Wisconsin. Those states, particularly, I'm going to group those together. Now, why? Well, because I've actually managed to find beverages from all of those states. So those are going to be the ones being sampled here this month. And we are actually starting off with a what sounds like an absolutely delicious option. And I can't believe I managed to find something like this in North Carolina. But this is Oliver Winery. I believe Adam Karnick, the host of our Chi-Town Weekly show, has discussed this with me before, but I've managed to find this one here in North Carolina, and you are reading that word right. That says apple pie. It is a freshly pressed apple wine with vanilla notes, and it is from Bloomington, Indiana, is where this hails from. And there's a little blurb on the back. Pour yourself a slice and enjoy. Very punny. A crisp, tart, fresh apples balanced with soft vanilla a la mode and comforting notes of cinnamon and nutmeg. No fork required. Chill or heat to share this delicious treat. Now, this is chilled, not heat. I think you can probably tell that by the slight little condensation you see on the bottle there. And it's also 8.3% alcohol, so much lower than your standard wine range, a lot closer to, well, a lot of the beers that we've been having. So this is one that is not necessarily going to get you wrecked, but a fascinating choice, and from Indiana of all places. I would never have bet in a million years that I would be tasting a wine from Indiana randomly down here in North Carolina. But alas, here we are. Now let's give it a quick pour. Not seen much in terms of bubble, so it's not an effervescent wine particularly. Very clear color. Again, I don't think this is one that we're really looking for body or color on. I think it's all going to be about the flavor. Let's give it a sniff. Wow. It smells like an apple pie. I can't say it looks like an apple pie because it's a wine. So we're 1 for 2. Let's see if it tastes like one. Wow. Fascinating. It reminds me a lot of, I believe on the show last year, we had an apple pie cider from somebody. I want to say it was Blake Cidery. I had an apple pie cider from them. This tastes exactly like that. Yeah, it does not taste like a wine at all. You do get a very subtle, easy apple note, lots of cinnamon and nutmeg. The vanilla is subtle. The vanilla is not really in the flavor profile, more kind of the mouthfeel, a little bit of a creamier mouthfeel. But no, it tastes like an apple pie. I would be curious to see how it's heated up. We're not going to go down that road tonight, because that would require me to go over to the stove. And well, I am live on show, so I cannot do that. So, but in any case, very tasty, very flavorful. Yeah, really good. So definitely, if you can manage to find them somewhere, Oliver Winery out of Bloomington, Indiana. Like I said, 8.3%. So you can have a couple glasses of this and you'll be okay. You won't get wrecked. It's fine. But very tasty wine, very flavorful, not expensive either. All really positive notes there. So yeah, so there's our first beverage of Midwest Beverage Month. We're going to be kind of touring all over that little region, the Great Lakes region. Actually, we're going to actually call this, we're going to go with Great Lakes Beverage Month because that's really kind of the region we are going to be around because, like I said, I've got Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, obviously, Illinois, and Wisconsin, and that's really the Great Lakes region. I don't necessarily want to call it the Midwest because then I feel like I'm kind of stiffing Minnesota. And, of course, a region known for great sports. A lot of historic sports teams in this region. You've got the Bears and the Packers in football. The Colts have a little bit of a history to them. Browns, Bengals, Lions, of course, as well, joining that fray. Basketball, you've got the Bulls, one of the great franchises in the NBA. The Pistons, known for their bad boy years of the 80s. The Cleveland Cavaliers, obviously, with their recent success with LeBron James. The Indiana Pacers, from their Reggie Miller days. A lot of these teams have great history to them. And of course, the Bucks currently, well, actually, the Bucks have a lot of history if you go back to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and also now, of course, Giannis and company. Hockey, obviously great for hockey, not regionally speaking, very cold, so that helps a lot. But obviously, they've got the Blackhawks and the Red Wings, two of the original six in the NHL. Definitely great in hockey. And baseball, you've got the Cubs, one of the long-standing franchises, the White Sox, who have a fascinating history, to say the least. You also have the Cincinnati Reds and the Cleveland Guardians, a little bit of history there. And of course, the Detroit Tigers with some history, and the Milwaukee Brewers as well. So, a great region for sports and a great region for some fun alcoholic beverages. And we are starting it off with a bang with the Oliver Winery Apple Pie Wine. Very fascinating take on a wine. I would really describe it more as a cider than a wine, but nonetheless, however you want to describe it, I think we can all describe it with one word, and that word is tasty. So, with all that being said, before we jump into sports, we've got a couple of comments. Larry B in the chat room tonight. Good evening, sir. And Brian Frescioni also jumping in as well. Good evening to you both. And now, before we take our first break, we of course have the biggest DC sports news happening right now. Well, not right now, technically it happened yesterday. The record is tied, folks. We are at 894. Ovechkin got 893 early in the game last night against the Blackhawks. Apologies, Adam Karnick. And then he got 894 in the third period, which was also a game-winning goal, which puts him, I believe it put him among one of the either among the top all-time in game-winning goals or the all-time leader in game-winning goals. But a truly special night. 2 goals now at 894 with about 6 games to go. 6 games to get 1 goal to be the all-time record holder. And man, oh man, is it going to be an event when it happens. A lot of people, especially a lot of guys in the radio network today, were mentioning how the tickets for the Islanders game coming up tomorrow, the price is about over doubled overnight, and the cheapest ticket available right now is about $900. So it's going to be an event. It's going to be a spectacle. Everybody's going to be sitting on the edge of their seats for when it happens. And I got to say, probably one of the most exciting sports moments in DC sports history happening right now. If slash when that record is broken, that is certainly going to be a special one. Certainly. And by the way, that's with teams who have won championships. So, obviously it was very exciting to see the Caps win the Stanley Cup a handful of years ago. But I got to think, watching Alex Ovechkin, a guy who spent all 20 seasons with the Caps, watching him break the all-time goal-scoring record may trump the Stanley Cup excitement. I don't know. It might be close. Some people might debate it back and forth, but I'm going to say it's going to be, if it's top two, and it might not be two. So we will all be waiting with bated breath for that moment to happen. Also on the week, the Caps went 2-1, very solid, very good week for them. Puts them at 49, 18, and 9 overall, 107 points. Player of the week, you know who it is. It's the guy who just tied the all-time goals record. There's no debate. Go debate a wall on this one. If you don't think he was player of the week, then I'd love to see a very detailed, definitive argument arguing who should have been player of the week for the Caps. Yeah, no, that's about all I have to say about that. But the other big news. Oh, before I get to the other big news, we'll just the quick note here about the record. So 107 points, 4 points in their last 6 games. That's only 2 wins in the last 6. clinches the division and the top seed in the East. Doesn't matter what any other team does. 4 points gets the job done. And by the way, that requires the two teams right behind them, the Hurricanes and the Toronto Maple Leafs, to be perfect in their last 7 games for 4 points to not clinch that mark. I really, in all reality, probably one victory will get the job done, because it would be very hard for both of those teams to go 7-0 in their final 7 games. Not saying it's impossible, but it would be very, very difficult. And the other big news for the Caps, top prospect Ryan Leonard was called up this week. He finished out the season with the Boston College Hockey Club, and then turned around and immediately signed with the Caps and made his NHL debut, and then proceeded, of course, to score his first NHL goal in the same game where Ovechkin scored 894. So right now the two combined have 895. There you go. But yes, truly excellent moment to see Leonard called up. And the team is 2-1 since he's been called up. So be curious to see how they handle him come playoff time. But I imagine they'll cross that bridge when they get there. It is a good problem to have, having a little bit of extra talent on the team. That will do it for the first part of our show. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to dive into the MLB and the NBA, unfortunately. So do not go away. You're listening to Let's Whine About DMV Sports here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS. The SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, Pittsburgh? This is Ralph Calise, the host of the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Are you that passionate, diehard Steelers, Penguins, Pirates, or just a Pittsburgh sports fan? Then please join me on the Injury Report every Tuesday on IE Sports Radio, the direct feed for all that is sports. And I will update you on all that's black and gold, have you telling your Pittsburgh fans and friends what's up with Pittsburgh sports. Tune in Tuesday with me, Ralph Calise, the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's go!
And welcome back to Let's Whine About DMV Sports here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We are going to jump into the MLB. It's been kind of a rough start here for our DMV teams. We're going to kick it off with the Nats, who went 1-4 on the week. And by the way, that one was today with their 4-3 victory over the Arizona Diamondbacks. They got swept by Toronto and had lost the first game in the three-game series against Arizona this weekend, and then they managed to pull out the victory. But very rough go of it. Nothing really seems to be going right for the Nats early on. 2-6 overall. The only time they seem to have a victory is when the entirety of their pitching staff is clicking. And that's only happened twice. And it hasn't really mattered what the bats have done, although, in all fairness to the pitching staff, the bats have been incredibly inconsistent as well. So, just overall, lots of not great play going on there in the nation's capital. Player of the week, usually our going rule on this show is that it goes to the best player in the team's victory, and that would definitely go to Mitchell Parker today, who pitched 6 innings, gave up 1 earned run. So far in 2 starts this year, both quality starts, he has given up only 1 run, and again was a key part towards leading the team to the victory. A very close game, 4-3. The bullpen gave up a couple of runs. I thought they could have brought Parker out for the 7th. Admittedly, his 6th inning wasn't the greatest, but he was still only at 83 pitches. I think he probably could have at least gotten you a couple outs in the 7th, maybe even finished off the 7th, but I got to think that that is a situation where you at least give it a shot. So, but it is what it is. The team still came away with the victory. Awful lot of trust in the bullpen, though, and they almost blew it. So, that obviously will continue to be a situation to watch moving forward throughout the season. The major news for the team, other than everybody being mad about the lack of good performance, and Dylan Cruz not hitting well, James Wood hasn't been hitting particularly well. Other players, just the offense incredibly inconsistent. But Michael Soraka, the team's number 4 starter, was put on the injured list this week. In response, they called up Jackson Rutledge, a guy who's kind of been back and forth between the majors and the minors for the team, mostly as a starter, mostly not great. They haven't officially announced that he will be the starter for the game tomorrow, as that would have been Soraka's next start. I don't think the team moves Trevor Williams startup, so it's either going to be Rutledge or young pitcher Brad Lord making his first major league start tomorrow. He's been in the pen to start the season, and he looked great in spring training, but has not looked great in his first couple of relief appearances. So that a little bit of a concern, but Soraka was never part of the long-term plans here in DC. It's all been about Gore, Irving, and Parker to start the year, and the hopeful returns of Cade Cavalli, Josiah Gray, and DJ Hers from the injury list at some point to fill out the rotation. So that's what the team is looking for. The Soraka injury just means the next guy has to step up and try to put together a decent start, which the starters overall have been good. Soraka wasn't great in his first start. He was decent. Trevor Williams was not good in his first start. So, yes, the rotation continues to be a point of interest, and the bullpen continues to be a point of concern. And things do not get particularly easier as they get a 3-game slate against the Dodgers. Obviously, they finish up against Arizona tomorrow, but then they get a 3-game slate against the Dodgers and a 3-game slate at Miami, who is not looking bad so far. Miami is looking okay. They are not looking as bad as a lot of people, myself included, as I said on the Bullpen Bulletin, as a lot of people initially anticipated. So that is not necessarily a gimme series either. But the Dodgers, of course, that's just a tough draw for a team that is struggling, not usually a team that is good to try to pull yourself out of a rut. But hey, baseball's baseball. There's a reason they play the games. There's a reason there's 162 games. Anything can happen on any given night. And once we get past the question mark tomorrow, we then have Trevor Williams start, but then we get back to Mackenzie Gore and Jake Irving or in that series. So hopefully that duo can help us kind of claw our way through this series. And then there are the Orioles, who did one game better than the Nats. They went 2-3 on the week, with their second victory coming today against Kansas City in a very good game, 8-1, in which starting pitcher Tomoyuki Sugano threw 5 1/3, only gave up 1 run. The bullpen did very well also. They did not give up a run. That was a combination um, of Keegan Aiken, Michael Bauman, the duo that's doing great, and a third guy who's doing very well and earned himself Player of the Week this week, relief pitcher Brian Baker, who in 3 appearances in those 5 games tossed 2 2/3 scoreless innings and only had a .375 WHIP. He only gave up 1 hit, and today was extra useful because he came in with 1 out, 2 men on in the 6th inning, with the game still hanging in the balance because a lot of the O's offensive production today was in the 7th and 8th inning. It was still a close game, but Baker managed to shut down the run, which was very crucial. So he gets Player of the Week. But yes, Orioles 4-5 overall, not doing great, but not digging themselves a terribly deep hole either. I mean, everybody's behind the Yankees right now. There's no control over that. They are in last place in the division, although I'm sure somebody's, let's see, is Boston. The Blue Jays are playing right now. The Red Sox were postponed, so they will likely be in last place still at the end of the night, but they're 4-5. The Red Sox, oh wait, no, it's Tampa who's right ahead of them at 4-4. Hang on, are the Rays currently playing? Let's see. The Rays lost today. Okay, so that helped the O's game that game. So Boston and Tampa are right ahead of them at 4-4. Then there's Toronto, who's at 5-3, who had the benefit of getting the Nats and sweeping the Nats. So that's the big difference there. And the Yankees are there at 6-2. So not a massive gap developing for the team so far. And by the way, in the National League East, Washington at 2-6 is in 4th place, thanks to the Braves' abysmal start, although they did just secure their first win. Miami is ahead of the Nats at 4-4. The Mets are slightly ahead there at 4-3, and then the Phillies have the top record of the division at 6-2. So the Nats have a little bit of a gap that has developed early on for them. The biggest news of the week for the O's was Gunnar Henderson returning from injury. Admittedly, his bat has not looked great. I believe he is 1 for 8 in the 2 games, but he is back, and hopefully that gives the team a sign of hope as they move forward through the season and they try to continue to claw their way back into contention. This was the first time that the Orioles had been 2 games below 500 since 2022. There's your fun sports trivia fact of the day. So it's been a while since the O's have, quote unquote, been this bad. But the other point is that they continue to have a losing record since, I think it was June 16th of last year. The team has a losing record. So still some things to correct, still some things to work on. But again, the gap here is not awful. And with Gunnar back, the key for this team this year, they've got some key pieces that are injured. It's going to be keeping everybody else healthy and trying to get these guys back and going full swing. That's going to be the key to get them to the playoffs, is going to be that. Next week, not a super easy week. They travel to Arizona to face the Diamondbacks. I did see that Corbin Burnes will, unless his start for tomorrow gets bumped, which they might do, given that the Nats don't know who's pitching for them tomorrow against Arizona, so they might not necessarily march Burnes out there in that game. I'll be interested to see if they do decide to push his next start to the series against the Orioles. But if not, then the Orioles dodge Burnes, which is very crucial, very important to dodge him in that Arizona pitching lineup. And then their second series already, they'll already be halfway through their season games against the Toronto Blue Jays coming up next weekend. So 2 pretty critical series. Hopefully we'll see how their last game goes against Kansas City tomorrow. Maybe, cross your fingers, we'll be talking about a 500 Orioles team. by this time next week, or at least still within a game. I would like for them to be above 500. That would be good. Let's get above that 500 mark and then keep clawing our way back. But speaking of teams who will not be above 500 this year at all, we have the Wizards, who still avoid the nickname of the Lizards because they did get a win this week. So that puts them at 1-2 on the week, 17-60 overall. Underrated part of this whole situation is that the Wizards are going to be better record-wise than they were last year when they finished as the second worst team in the NBA, and they might finish as the second worst again. So that'll be interesting to see if that this team still did a little bit better. Obviously they have 5 games left. Maybe they get to 18 or 19 wins. Did 3 or 4 games better. Still one of the 3 worst teams in the league, but a little bit of improvement, kind of the underrated part of the season. Player of the week, this one's going to go to Bub. That is not how you spell that. Bub Carrington, who averaged 23 points per game in the 3 games, including 19 in the victory. He had 33 in their game yesterday, a loss to the Magic. Also averaged 6.5 rebounds and 7.5 assists, probably by far the best week for the rookie. He's having a very solid season. In fact, the Wizards became the first team in NBA history to have 3 rookies hit 100 threes in their rookie season. That would be Carrington, Kaishan George, and Alex Sarr. So that is a tremendous fact that does show how well the rookies have been playing overall. It also shows how much the rookies have played overall, because I'm sure one of the reasons why that record hasn't been broken is that most teams, especially good teams, probably aren't starting 3 rookies or playing 3 rookies enough regular playing time to get to that mark. So there's a plus and a minus to that stat, but overall, still very good performances by all of the rookies. Tank update with 1 week to go, basically. That's right, not tomorrow, but the following Sunday is the last game of the season for the Wizards. So next week, we will be doing a season wrap-up. Yes, they'll have 1 game to go. Ideally, we'll know where they are in the lottery odds by that point, but we're just going to go ahead and wrap it up there because there's like a 90% chance that that game does not make a massive difference. But looking at the lottery odds, they are still second worst in the league. The Jazz are 16-62. So they currently contain the top overall odds. Now, reminder that the top 3 odds, that the 3 worst records all have the exact same odds, first, second, third, or fourth pick. The only difference between them is if they don't get those top 4 picks, which are the only 4 picks that are randomized, they get bumped down to different spots. So, the worst record team, they can only finish as low as 5th, whereas the second worst, they can finish as low as 6th. Now, I don't recall ever seeing the second worst team going 6th, because that would mean that both them and the top overall team got bounced by 4 other teams. I don't know if that's happened to date in this lottery run, but yes, the Wizards' second worst. They are a game and a half better than Utah. They're 2 games worse than Charlotte. So we'll have to see how the Hornets finish. They're 4 games worse than New Orleans. I don't think that gap is getting closed. I think New Orleans is pretty firmly in that 4th seed, unless they manage to win a couple and Philadelphia keeps losing, because the 76ers have lost 10 games in a row, but the 76ers definitely aren't falling below the Wizards per se. So really it's that trio that we're watching basically at this point, and I believe we discussed this last week as well, but Utah, Washington, and Charlotte, that's the 3. I don't know if head-to-head record impacts the standings, because that might be interesting, because the Wizards have beaten the Jazz and they swept the Hornets. In fact, the Wizards are 5-0 against Charlotte and Utah versus 12-60 versus the rest of the league. That's just a fun fact. Hey, they managed to beat the teams that are just as bad as they are. That's got to say something, right? But yes, That will be what you watch in these final 5 games for the Wizards. I really don't know with the way Utah's been playing. I really don't know if they manage to get below Utah, but I think there is a good chance that they can stay below Charlotte. As long as Charlotte wins one game, I still don't think the Wizards go 3-2 in their final 5. I think 17 wins is possible, of course, because they could just lose the last 5. But I think 18 or 19 are the two more likely results. So Charlotte just win one, and we'll be good to go. That will do it for the second part of our show. When we come back, we are reintroducing our draft segment. We're actually going to talk about the NBA draft, and there's a reason for that. But don't go away. You're listening to Let's Whine About DMV Sports here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
How we doing, sports fans? This is Christian Harvey, your host of Gritsville, USA, your go-to show for all things Detroit and Michigan here on IE Sports Radio. Whether you're here for Gritty Lions talk, getting pumped up for the great Detroit sports renaissance, or hating on your neighbor depending on if they were green or blue, we got you covered. Whether you're in the East, West, or Central, we got you covered. Join me as we tackle through all that the great state of Michigan has to offer in the world of sports. Catch me, Christian Harvey, each week on Gritsville, USA, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and sinners. Hello, sports fans around the world. Hello, IE Sports family. This is Cale Henderson, the host of IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio. If you folks are interested in sports in the Vegas area, if you're wanting to have a blast for 1 hour, every Tuesday night from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, this is a show built for the Vegas sports fans, where we feature the Las Vegas Raiders, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Aces, and the University of Las Vegas, Nevada Rebels. Hopefully, fingers crossed, MLB team coming soon. Either way, if you folks are looking to have a blast for 1 hour each and every week, tune in Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you folks are interested in Vegas sports news, go to our Twitter, at SinCities_IESR, and you can speak with me, the host, Cale Henderson, at Cale_Henderson on Twitter, at any time. Be happy to reply. Always want to reach out to our fans. Again, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back to Let's Whine About DMV Sports here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We're in our final segment here, and we are reintroducing the draft segment. That's right. Last year, we introduced the draft segment around this time because between the beginning of April and the end of July, you have the WNBA draft, you have the NFL draft, you have the NBA draft, you have the NHL draft, and you have the MLB draft. So you have basically all of the major sports have their drafts, their amateur drafts, in this 3-month period. It's absolutely astounding. And the reason why I say 3 months, I know I said beginning of April, but usually the WNBA draft is mid-April and the MLB draft is mid-July. So you've got 2 half months and then May and June. None of them happen in May, by the way, which is the funniest thing. You get the WNBA and the NFL in June, then you get a break in May, and then you get the NBA and NHL in June. Wait, sorry, I missaid that. You get the WNBA and the NFL in April. You skip May. You get the NBA and NHL in June, and then the MLB in July. It is truly incredible that all of those managed to line up. Now, obviously, we have 2 drafts coming up really quick on the schedule. But so why am I talking about the NBA draft? Well, because next week we'll be talking about the WNBA draft because that draft is actually on Monday, April 14th. So you've got next Saturday's April 12th. That's the perfect time to talk about the WNBA draft. And there's a lot to talk about for the Mystics because they have a lot of really good draft picks this year. And then you're like, well, Mike, what about the NFL draft? That's coming up soon. You're right. Then the 19th, we get to talk about the NFL draft. Actually, I'll be talking about it extensively on that 3 and Out show that day with Larry B. But then that evening, we're going to talk about it as well because that draft starts the following Thursday. And then Saturday night, because the draft is over 3 days, we're going to recap that draft. Also, we'll recap the WNBA draft a little bit on the 19th. But we've got boom, 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 our next 3 draft shows lined up perfectly down the row. And oh, by the way, the college baseball season will be wrapping up. We'll be getting into the College World Series, I believe, around the beginning of May. So we'll have a pretty good idea of what we're looking at in terms of our baseball prospects at that point. And then, of course, obviously, we'll still have NHL and NBA. NBA, also, especially the other reason why I bring up the NBA prospects to now is because we've got the Final Four going now, which congratulations to Florida for making the national championship. And the other game, Duke versus Houston. Let's see how that one is going right now. I'm going to guess. Okay, that's a good one. Duke's up 18-15. But essentially, the college basketball season is done. So that means that we, at least statistically, production wise, we've seen what we're going to see from a lot of these prospects. And the Wizards, as we discussed, top 3 odds pretty much guaranteed at this point. But they could go anywhere from 1 to 6. I'd be very surprised at this point if they landed at 7, because that would mean Charlotte would have to pass them and they'd have to fall all the way down the lottery. So I don't think that's going to happen, but anywhere from 1 to 6. And so it's important for us. We obviously talked about Cooper Flagg, who's the complete package and having a fantastic NCAA tournament. But who else should be on the Wizards' radar? Well, to me, if the lottery goes horribly, you're going to miss out on some of the best names, and it's going to get really complicated real quickly if they fall past, say, 4. And then I'm using Tankathon.com, which is I really like them as a source of draft information, to look at some of these numbers here, and it looks like some of the best prospects coming right in behind Cooper Flagg. You've got Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey, who I'm lukewarm on that duo because, don't get me wrong, they played very well as freshmen at Rutgers, but Rutgers didn't do anything. So, I don't know. I'm not super excited about them because they couldn't. Two of the best players in the country, apparently, on the same team, couldn't get Rutgers to the NCAA tournament. That was very strange to me. But Dylan Harper, I mean, his skill set absolutely flies off the table. Incredible athleticism. Combo guard, shot very well, averaged 19 points, 4.5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 1.5 steals per game. Good shooter, not great. But a lot of his productivity was very good. His play on the court was very good. Ace Bailey has tremendous size. He's 6'10", and he played very well-rounded game for him. Injured a little bit and didn't do great on the defensive end. At least his defensive rating wasn't phenomenal, and he did kind of tail off towards the end of the season in, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In 3 of his final 8 games, he scored less than 10 points and didn't eclipse 20 after the month of January. So concerns about his performance, but in the NBA draft especially, probably more than other drafts other than maybe baseball, there's a lot of projection, a lot of looking at the physical tools and projecting that athleticism. A lot of people have compared Ace Bailey a little bit to Kevin Durant in terms of skill set. So that'll be something to watch. And then VJ Edgecombe and Kasparis Jakushonis, I do not know how to pronounce his last name. Two other college freshmen, both very productive in their seasons, one for Baylor, one for Illinois. Again, kind of combo guards, although Edgecombe very much more so more a wing than a point guard per se. But basically, after Flag, who I would say probably is a power forward in the NBA, you basically have three guards and another wing in Bailey. So that's going to impact how the team looks at its future. I think Flag fits best for what the team needs right now. I think they need a four. No offense to Keyshawn George and Justin Champagny, who have admirably been filling in at that position. Also, JT Thor and Anthony Gill as well. A little bit of Tristan Vucevic, but I think they need that guy like Cooper Flag in that 4 spot. And then you can use George off the bench as a 3/4. Same with Champagny, and allows them to be a little bit more versatile with their lineups. Also, it allows the team to not have to use Anthony Gill or JT Thor in a game, and also allows them to use Vucevic more as a backup 5. Harper, Edgecombe, and we'll call him KJ out of Illinois. They do create somewhat of a logjam at the guard spot because they do have Jordan Poole. They will likely have Chris Middleton coming back next year. He's got a player option. They have Marcus Smart, AJ Johnson, Bub Carrington, Corey Kispert. They've got a lot of group talent together playing 1 through 3. And also, oh, by the way, like I said, George and Champagny sometimes play that 3 spot too. So that would create a little bit of a logjam that the team would have to figure out. Bailey, I think you could also kind of seamlessly transition into more of a stretch 4, as it would be in his case. How well did he shoot the 3 this year? Let's see. 35%, so not bad. That's definitely something that can grow on. So basically, my takeaway from the segment, from talking to you about this, is that there are other good prospects. Any of those guys would be good, but it would still be a kind of a disappointment considering this team was the worst team in the league for so much of the season to turn around and then not get Cooper Flag. But the odds are still the same as they were a couple weeks ago, or as they have been all year basically, except for maybe that brief stretch when they were 2-2 and looking like playing team. Man, that's a memory of the past, wasn't it? But there are other good options for this team. It's just going to cause them to kind of rethink their rotations and maybe their approach to free agency, if they even have an approach to free agency. Also, we have Memphis is picked, which is likely to fall in the 20s unless Memphis would somehow fall out of the playoffs, which would be a fascinating development for them, considering they were so firmly in the playoffs for much of the season. But that pick is likely to fall somewhere around 20. Some of the prospects I've been eyeing in that range. Rasheer Fleming, power forward from St. Joseph's. His game tape kind of jumped off the board to me. Danny Wolf, if they wanted to go big backup center, he had a good year. He's a little bit older for Michigan. They're all these like older prospects. Alex Condon for Florida, here for the Gators. And Johnny, forward center from Auburn, who's apparently been in the draft. It's weird he's a 22-year-old senior, but if he comes out, I'm definitely like him as a developmental backup. Well, not just development, he's 23 years old, but as a backup, additional backup option to Alex or down low. That was it for tonight's show. Thank you to everybody who tuned in, whether it was live or tuned in later on in the week. Shout out to our sponsors, Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky that's on a whole other planet. Go to planetjerky.net to get yours today. Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great but supports mental health awareness and research. So go to their website, use code IESR to get 15% off today and continue to support them. Seal the Deal Wax Seals, custom seals perfect for any occasion. Go to Instagram at @SealTheDeal_Wax Seals and check them out. And our newest sponsor, Raw Nutrition Supplements. Go to GetRawNutrition.com. Use promo code IESR to get 10% off your order and get your supplements today. Also, be sure to follow us on all social media platforms at Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube at IE Sports Radio. Check out the website where you find the blogs, the merchandise, Man of the Month page, Hall of Fame, and so much more. Follow yours truly on action once again. If you like the show or any of the shows, please join the Supporters Club. And once again, remember the show's main message. Please drink responsibly. Do not drink and drive. Do not work it. One of my favorite social media posts regarding this topic is that you can afford an Uber or a taxi before you can afford a DUI. So please drink responsibly. Do not drink and drive. It is simply not worth it. Once again, this has been Mike Patt with Let's Fight About DMV Sports on the IE Sports Radio. Your direct feed for all that is sports. Have a great week. See you next time.